Welcome to another edition of the Burrow podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and today I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mark Rayner. Mark, how you feeling?
Feeling good, mate. Feeling fit for an old man. Hope you're going good too, buddy, and hope all the people out there are going good.
Yeah, well, I'm doing well. Disappointing result the other night, but certainly one that we can certainly be proud of the boys for their efforts.
100%, mate. Couldn't agree more. I thought they really took it to Melbourne, and we were just really unlucky at the end there, mate. But just goes to show that those buggers, mate. They don't stop coming, and but I cannot fault the effort. Every single player that we had, I thought, stood up to be counted, mate, and that's all we can ask for them.
Yeah, well, the result was a 25-24 Golden Point loss. We came from 12-0 down. We're down 12-0 after 7 minutes, and that's the second week in a row that we've had a slow start. Against the Bulldogs, we were down 18-0 before that storm hit, and we do come back, but we've got to fix those starts, don't we?
Yeah, we do, mate. I think I'm almost convinced that Wayne's not awake. During the pre-game talk, I think he might be in the corner having a bit of a sleep. So I think he needs to try and maybe have a can of V or something before the start of the game to give the boys a little bit of a rev up, because we can't keep starting like that, mate.
No, you can't give the top teams. We've played two of the top teams the last 2 weeks and giving them a 12 and also 18-point lead, and then only going down by 1 in Golden Point, and the Bulldogs, we went down by 6. So it shows that if we get that right, we're not far off at all, are we?
100%, mate. 100%. We if we can just have a bit more energy at the start of the contest, even if we just go toe to toe, try for try in that first sort of 15-20 minute period with sides, we've shown towards the back end of games that we can come back strong, and we'll power over the top of most of the teams in the comp, I reckon.
Yeah, well, we had both our wingers were the only try scorers there. Tyrone Munro gets one, and Alex Johnston, for the first time, he scored 4 tries in the game. And that's a record against the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, outstanding, mate. AJ was on, Trell was on. I just thought that left-hand side attack, mate, was just beautiful to watch on Saturday night. Mate, it was some of the best football that I've seen them play this year, to be fair.
Well, we spoke a few weeks ago. We talked about Alex Johnston's positional play and how he's just in the perfect spot all the time, and again showed it. Like, Latrell just knows where he's going to be, and Alex Johnston knows where Latrell's going to put the ball, and teams just don't seem to have an answer for it at the moment.
No, well, mate, when you've got somebody out there the calibre of Latrell Mitchell throwing passes to you, mate, and obviously, Cody Walker, those two blokes, mate, it'd be an absolute pleasure to catch passes off them. He still had to work very hard for the tries that he did get, AJ. So, it wasn't just a case of, catch and put the ball down. But again, that goes back to his positional play and what he can do with ball in hand.
Well, not just ball in hand, defensively too. He was able to sniff out that intercept and pick off and get his 4th try and put us back in front at that stage.
That was a beautiful intercept, mate. That was lovely. I think who threw that pass? Was that Munster?
Brandon Smith. Sorry, not Brandon. What am I saying? But Jerome Hughes. Sorry.
Hughes, mate. He doesn't throw many of those, and for AJ to put himself in that position to take that and still have the toe at 30 years old to streak away downfield was pretty to watch, mate.
Yeah, well, here I am. I've obviously got Brandon Smith on my mind because I can't wait to get him in the side. So he's a few weeks away, but we'll speak a bit more about injuries later on. But but the ball playing by Latrell, and then at the back end of the game, with the game on the line, we're 4 points down. That kick through for Tyrone Munro on a 3rd tackle. It's all class, isn't it?
100%, mate, and I'm stealing that off him for my boys on the weekend as well. So we'll be running some training drills on Thursday night for that very move.
Yeah, well, we had a bit of a disappointing night. That's 2 weeks in a row. Our goal kicking's let us down. Jamie Humphries the week before he was, what was it, 1 from 4, and this week Latrell was 2 from 3. But I mean, kicking them from the sidelines, no easy feat, are they?
Nah, mate. Like if you haven't had a crack at doing that, just at the park, mucking around, having fun when you've got no pressure on you whatsoever, that's a very difficult thing to do. But when you've got 10,000 sets of eyes on you, or even more, 20,000 sets of eyes, it makes it even harder. But I mean, it's one of those things where you say, oh, he's a professional athlete, blah, blah, blah. He should be doing that shit. Well, you know what? Get out there and have a crack. It's not that easy. And mate, at the end of the day, like we said earlier, we're still very, very proud of the boys' efforts, and it very well could have gone either way, could have ended up in our favour.
Yeah, well, even still, without Latrell, the 4 try assists he had, we're not in that game. He's the only one that was setting up the tries for us. But even right at the back end of the game, that monster kick a field goal from the halfway line, it only just missed.
Mate, it was. It was one of those ones where you're like, you're just about ready to celebrate, and then you're like, but it was a good strike, mate. He got hold of it really well, and one of those things, mate.
Well, some of the players were there celebrating. They thought he nailed it. But my go-to whenever those long field goals, I always looked at the opposition fullback. And I remember when he did it against the Broncos, I looked at their fullback, and you just seen where he was looking, and you knew he nailed it. Whereas when I was watching the body language of Ryan Pappenhausen, you could see that it was just going wide. It just went to the right, just that little bit, and it's like, it wasn't to be. And you kind of knew when those things weren't happening, when he wasn't icing those moments, you kind of knew that once it went to Golden Point, you just felt like, yeah, Melbourne just know how to do this.
Yeah, they do, and they've done it to us a couple of times now, haven't they? So, but
third time they've beaten us by a field goal in Golden Point. Second one by Ryan Pappenhausen.
Yeah. I'd love to put a really nice shot on that bugger, but mate, he's a classy player. The whole Melbourne Storm team are just full of blokes who go for 80, 90. They'd have played for 120 minutes if they had to, you know what I mean? They just don't stop coming.
Yeah, well, talking about Ryan Pappenhausen, we tend to forget that horrific injury that he had. I think he had 2 of them in a row where it was really bad, and a lot of us were questioning what would he be like when he come back? Would he lose that little bit of pace or whatever? And he certainly hasn't lost any of that zip, has he? He's certainly a quality player there at the back for the Storm.
Dangerous, mate. Real high quality player. And look, they just, I mean, Jerome Hughes, Cameron Munster. I thought, that back row that they've got, that Kiwi bloke or that Islander fella, what's his name?
Eli Katoa.
Katoa?
Yeah, Eli Katoa. Yeah.
He was solid. Yeah, he was solid for him as well, mate. Just tackled everything. There and any Craig Bellamy coach teammate is just doesn't matter who they bring into that football team, they do a good job.
And that's funny. You look at the 2 coaching boxes and during that game, and you look at Wayne Bennett, and he's seems calm all the time. It doesn't matter if our players make a mistake, he's calm as. But as soon as a Melbourne Storm player makes a mistake, Craig Bellamy, he's certainly a character, isn't he?
Yeah, mate, there's that much spit all over the perspex up there. When Craig Bellamy gets in there, mate, they've got to get the window cleaners in to get that sorted.
Well, there was a play that I felt really typified our efforts from the other night. Certainly not early on, because that first try from Harry Grant was poor marker defence by Liver and also Jamie Humphries. They got that wrong. And the other one I felt they got wrong was when, we'll talk about the high tackle a bit later, but straight after that, when we put the kick and they ran through, Suafalongo ran through us and passed to Wishart, who scored. I really thought we got the chase wrong. Jamie Humphries probably wishes he got up a little bit quicker to close that gap and not leave Junior Totola one-on-one with Suafalongo, because he was always going to beat him, wasn't he?
Yeah. That was one of the ones where even when the kick went through, and I said to Loz, I said that kick chase, I said that staggered line is that kick chase is rubbish. You could see positionally where everybody sort of was, and mate, when you give a bloke like Falongo half an inch, mate, he's going to take a mile, and he certainly did that. And, mate, he's a class little footballer as well.
Yeah, well, going back to the point I was making, the effort areas, and right on half time, it looked like Melbourne Storm were going to score and we're going to have concede another last-minute try before half time. But Jai Arrow got himself over there, made sure, knocked the ball free. It was great effort and one that certainly lifted the boys going into the sheds, didn't it?
Yeah, you just, I mean, far out. What can you say, mate? That was a massive play. And Jai Arrow he's that kind of dude. You know, he's football IQ is massive. And to make that play at that football at that time, that was huge, mate. And I think it gave the boys a little bit of extra belief in the sheds at half time, and that, hey, we're in with a shot with these guys. So yeah, they came out and the arm wrestle continued.
Well, it would have been a different mentality conceding a try right in half time and possibly being 18 points to 4 down rather than 12-4. So it was a huge effort by Jai. And another thing about Jai, they were talking about, there was a bit of talk, especially from Bill Rothfield, that him going off the ground, he didn't shake anyone's hands. He was seen kicking a chair, and some people are disappointed, but I love that sort of passion, being so upset after a loss. We see guys when they're shaking hands, having a laugh with the opposition, and after getting beaten, and a lot of fans are pissed off by that. But seeing a guy go off like that, it's great to see the passion and how much he was hurting.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I mean, we've all thought about doing stuff like that at times when we've left the ground, you know what I mean? And, if the chairs weren't bolted into the stadium, we probably would have done it a few times. But it's just, yeah, I think used to be applauded for that. I loved that. I don't know if the bloke that was going to be sitting down in that chair loved that at that point in time, whoever that poor bugger was, but anyway, and no worry about Buzz Rothfield, mate. That cranky old codge has never laced a boot in his life, so shut the hell up, Buzz.
Yeah, I can imagine Buzz sitting there and he'll be sitting there going, "Well, what did that chair ever do to him?" Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad impersonation there, buddy. You've been practicing that one.
You see it enough, don't you? But anyway, another area, like we spoke about the goal kicking, how poor or slow starts, but I really thought that our dummy half was wrong the other night, and both between, like, the service from dummy half was really poor, especially from Liver.
Mate, don't get me started on that bloke, mate. Honestly, look, I mean, it's hard. He goes out and does his best, but I just don't think that he's first grade standard. I think he's being used out of necessity, and now hopefully with Pete back, we can start to see a little bit more of Mama Zealous in that role again moving forward. And then obviously when Cheese in, he'll rotate with the Cheese.
Early on when Pete went off, I thought Havili did well filling in that role as hooker and that, but he's certainly no longer a first grade hooker. I know he played a little bit there at Canberra, but now I see him more as coming on as a middle forward.
Yeah,
to get through some minutes.
100%, mate. Yep, 100%. He's mate, chuck him in he could do a job, although, he's not the tallest bloke in the world, but he'd do a job at prop for you, he'd do a job at second row, he'd do a job at lock. He's got that versatility in the scrum base, mate, to give us something anyway. I mean, whether that's good enough for him to consistently be picked in the 17 will remain to be seen once Brandon's fit.
Yeah, well, we had a new tradition start the other day. The club brought out the giant bell to ring before the game. We saw Cam Murray come out with his father, Corey Murray, who another former Rabbitoh in the early 90s. But we've seen that. What are your thoughts on the bell?
I'm not a fan, mate. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know who comes up with this stuff. But, look, I mean, why not? I don't know. They sold, there was a whole heap of little bells that people I've seen have around the ground. And You know what? Hey, I will say one thing. They're way better than those dumbass cowbells that the Melbourne Storm seem to have at every single one of their home games. But yeah, I
Oh,
don't know. Whatever, man. It's I'm not going to lose sleep over and having it. But I just thought it was not necessary.
I actually didn't mind it, and having that tradition where the players run out to it. And I think it can be something that's good to get the crowd lifted and that. And I noticed at the game, especially over in the Burrow, that people didn't mind it, and it got people up out of their seat and that. So maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but we won't get to see it at Acor for a while because we're not playing there until round 25 against the Dragons.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. I mean, it's whatever, mate. The like I said, I'm not, I'm not going to lose any sleep over and having a gigantic bell at the start of every single game. But yeah, for me, it's yeah, not. I don't know. If you're going to have a bell, mate, get the old one that Albert Clift rang out to start everything off, mate. That's the bell I want out there.
Yeah, I don't think Rusty would approve of that because I think that's reserved for when we play grand finals from now on. So, which should be what that's for. So, but we've had a crowd there of 10,093 on a Saturday night. It was a bit of a cold night, but we've heard a lot about this talk about people's preference of Allianz versus Acor, and a lot of people talk about the amount of fans that we have out west. I've got to say that after all that happened, it was an opportunity for a lot of the people out the west to get out there and get a big crowd to show that Acor was still the place for us to be. But I really thought that was a disappointing crowd.
Mate, that 10,000 was all of us people from the west, mate. It was the Sooks from the east that didn't show up on Saturday night, mate, having a cry about their Allianz miss.
Yeah.
But you're right,
I'm not
mate.
sure
Look,
if that was true.
it was pretty. Yeah, it was definitely a on the low side, especially when you're playing a team like the Storm. You get out there for those sorts of games. But again, mate, I think it might have a lot to do with the fact that even though we've been in games, we still haven't been winning. And as you know yourself, mate, like when you're winning, people come and watch you. So I don't know whether that had something to do with it or not. But mate, I'm the same as you, mate. I couldn't give a rat's bum. Like if we can make it out there, we'll be making it out there, and I really don't care who else turns up, to be fair.
Well, maybe a lot of our fans out of the west decided that they were going to go to the Supernova that was there that night. We've seen a lot of different characters there walking through, and it was great to see. Great to see people when people are passionate about something, love something. It's great to see. Like we're the same about our football team. They're the same about those sort of things.
Yeah, man.
I love seeing people that are enjoying their things.
100%, mate. And like, we certainly have some interesting characters out here in the wild west, mate. So I wouldn't be surprised if
both of us.
I wouldn't be surprised, mate, if half of the stadium was full of people from our areas, mate. But yeah, I mean, whatever, man. 10,000, 5,000, 3,000, 33,000. We've seen it all, mate. You know what I mean? And we'll be there regardless.
We've had a crowd, I believe, on a back in 2013. We had a 32,000 crowd out at Acor against the Storm, which was another Saturday night. So it's certainly not a case of it can't happen. But I was just disappointed with that crowd, and these guys are fighting, and we've had a lot of injuries in that, and we get a whole heap of players, which we'll discuss shortly about. But the disappointment of a loss, you get a close loss like that, where you're losing Golden Point, and you get a big loss. I feel that the close loss hurts more than getting beaten by, say, 18 or 20 points.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Look, it stings, but I see it from a different perspective. I see a close loss as being, you know what, you were really competitive, and sometimes in close losses, mate, the best team doesn't always win. You know what I mean? But when you're getting done by 18, 24 points, you certainly weren't the best team out there, or even close. So I think, yes, getting beat by 1 point, and especially against those pricks again, that does sting, mate. I thought the football they played was outstanding, mate, and certainly a hell of a lot different to the dross we tossed up against Newcastle in Magic Round.
Yeah, well, again, I go back to that game and just think because the side that we named there, we had, I think, something like about 12 players out of that side, and I just think that if we had the team that we had the last 4 weeks playing against Newcastle, we get a much different result. And I guess that's the luck of our season when we come against teams that we should win, we lose in players. It was the same against the Cowboys over in Perth. It's one of those things I really feel that's really let us down this season, where when we do get those winnable games, we just don't have the players there. And then we come against these sides, these top sides, and while we've still got a few players out, when we give it our best shot and I mean, the 2 games that we've played Melbourne Storm this year, we've lost by a combined total of 9 points.
Yeah, and I still consider them the Dogs. Even made the Raiders are looking like they're the sort of benchmark sides for this year as well. And the Canberra loss was a bit disappointing, but hey, it's bloody cold there in the nation's capital, mate. So I don't know. I don't know how I would have gone. Back in the day, I would have frozen solid out there. But aside from that, mate, we've been in most games this year, and with the amount of injuries that we've had, is still a pretty good sort of effort, mate. To be fair.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, we'll move on now to our 3-2-1, and I'll let you go first with your 3-2-1.
I'll have Latrell for the 3, Jai for the 2, and Keon for the 1, mate. For me. Yeah,
well, I'm going to go to the man of the moment who's now 7 tries away from breaking that record. Alex Johnston, 3. That intercept pass and that, he put us back in the game, and I just have Latrell behind him. I could have flipped the coin on those 2, and I have Jai for 1 point. But we'll speak a little bit more about that record. We've got a stretch now where we're playing games away. I think we got our one home game that we have is at Gosford. The one after that in round 24, I believe, is in that 7 games away, which if he scores a try game, he could possibly do it at Allianz Stadium against the Eels for Indigenous round, which would be so fitting, wouldn't it?
100%. Either at a core or at Allianz in that Indigenous round, mate. I think you couldn't script that any better. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, well, there is a possibility that he could possibly do it at Suncorp, because he scored a whole heap. He scored 11 tries in 7 games this year. He's 1 try away from the top try scorer, who they've played 13 games this year, and so he could possibly do it at Suncorp, where he made his debut and scored his first ever try, which will also be fitting.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, 100%. There's a plethora of possibilities, mate, which I would be quite happy with for AJ, mate. I think to break it at home, whether that's at a core or Allianz, and mate, even if he chooses to break it in the final game after we towel up the Roosters, mate, that would also suffice.
There's a lot of talk, and it's starting to gain a lot of momentum now about possibly doing a pitch invasion, get all the fans on the pitch when he does it. Similar to what happened with Buddy Franklin in the AFL all those years ago. It'd be quite funny if he does it, scores, and everyone's on the field. But of course, you have to wait for the try confirmed now, and then everyone's on the field and they turn around and say no try. I can see a scenario like that happening.
Mate, look, we just have to make sure Casey Badger isn't in the bunker on that night, mate. But I think if that was to happen, that would be rather shithouse, mate.
Well, we'll move on now to the team list. So we got the team that come out today. We've got a very strong side, a few players returning. Fullback, we've got Latrell Mitchell, Alex Johnston, Tyrone Munro on the wings, Jack White and Campbell Graham in the centres. Welcome back, Campbell. Cody Walker and Jamie Humphries in the halves, Sean Kepi and Keon Kaloa-Matangi in the front row, Saliva Harvili at hooker, Ewan Aiken, Tallis Duncan back row, and Jairo to lock. On the bench, we've got Peter Mamazelis, Lachlan Hudner, Davey Mawali and Tavita Totola. On the extended bench is Isaiah Tass, Liam LeBlanc, Jaden Sullivan, Ryan Gray, and Jacob Host. Very strong side we've named. It's probably our strongest side that we've named all year.
Yeah, and that's amazing. What round are we in? Round 18?
Round 17.
Round 17? 17 rounds. That's the first time we're going to have our strongest team on the park. Outstanding.
Well, close to our strongest side because there's no Cam Murray, there's no Brandon Smith. I think that's the only two notable absentees. Jai Gray possibly could have been a bench spot, but it's our best back line and the first time we've named it this year.
That's incredible, mate, isn't it? But yeah, good to have the reinforcements back. Good to see Stretch and the Weirs get back out there. And mate, hopefully we can have a nice good win against the Dolphins. Fins down.
Well, it'll be interesting because he's named Pete Mandazelis on the bench. Probably going to ease him in, but I can also see a world where he moves Liver to the bench and puts Pete to starting hooker.
100%. That's exactly what I'd be doing. Pete started there. I thought he really warmed into the role really nicely in that sort of that. He started off probably a little bit tentative in that first couple of weeks. But I think he really warmed into that role, made a ton of tackles, started to move out of dummy half a little bit swifter. Vision wise, started to see the game a little bit better as well. And I think, yeah, he was playing some pretty good footy, mate, when he got injured.
Another interesting thing is Sean Kepi comes from the bench and he moves to starting prop, and Jairo goes to lock with Lachlan Hubner moving to the bench.
Yeah, I'm not real sure what the reasoning is there, mate. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Sean Kepi fan in the world, and I think unless he's just looking for some punch off the bench with Hubner. I don't know. I'm not sure. The master coach will have something up his sleeve, or it may be a case of Mawali starting again, and then Kepi will drop back. But I don't know. See,
I thought because we've missed the starts, maybe they're looking at getting that right. And the last 2 weeks we've been down there, and maybe he's seen something with Davey starting and maybe with Lockie starting as well. So maybe he's seen something that we haven't. But the last 2 weeks, our starts have really let us down, and this could be to rectify that.
Could be, mate. Could be the master coach when he is awake is still the master coach.
Yeah. Well, Isaiah Tass is gone to the 18th man, and we were talking last week what would happen with Campbell Graham back, and whilst Tyrone Munro does have some defensive deficiencies, you just have to look at 2 weeks in a row putting a kick through for a fast winger and how easily he gets there. Certainly an advantage to having such a speedy guy on the wing.
Oh, big time, mate. Big time. As opposed to Tass, who looks like he's running on a treadmill half the time, mate. Munro's the, he's the Redfern Ferrari, mate. You just got to have him there. And yes, he's, defensively, makes a couple of the blues and that sort of stuff. But show me a 19, 20-year-old kid in the NRL that doesn't make defensive mistakes, mate, and he just simply won't. So he's going to get better. He'll get bigger, and he'll get faster and stronger, and that's going to be a scary proposition for the rest of the comp.
Well, last week we wrapped the Dolphins. We turned around and wrapped the Dolphins, and they had an upset loss against the Knights. So maybe we should just wrap them again and talk about the good things about them. But despite that loss last week, they're certainly a dangerous side, aren't they?
Yeah, mate, they certainly are. That young half they've got, mate, is outstanding.
Zaya Katoa.
Yeah, Katoa. Mate, their outside backs are superb. Herbie Farnworth is probably the form centre of the competition now. They lost Bostock, I believe. I think
So that's a shocking injury. Any player, when you see them get an ACL, it's just
horrendous.
Shocking injury for him to get, and speedy recovery to Jack.
Yeah, horrendous, mate. And is Big Felice playing this weekend?
No, he's still suspended. He's got another week of suspension.
Okay. So that's a huge loss for them, mate. Up front, Felice is he's pretty much the mongrel of that pack. But they've still got the GOAT there as well, mate. The great Mark Nichols, and they're dangerous, mate.
Yeah, they're also just looking at their side now. I don't know, is he playing? There's a guy. Yeah, he's playing. He's starting. But they've got Josh Kerr back as well. So that's he was really good against us in the opening game this year, and he did everything he could to get them that win. You forgot to mention the hammer at the back. In round one, he was non-existent, but he's turned his form around, and he certainly is a danger, isn't he?
One of the best fullbacks in the comp, mate, and lightning fast. So we'll need our kick chase will need to be definitely on point. None of that staggered line rubbish like we had against Farlogo, because if we do, he'll cut us to pieces. No dramas at all. The hammer.
One thing I loved last week was our line speed for most of that game was a lot better, and we took the Melbourne forwards on, and Nelson Asafa Solomona usually kills us, but Jai Arrow and Lockie Hubner made sure he didn't get on the top of him, and they belted him, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I don't know. Yeah, Big Nels isn't used to that sort of punishment, mate. Only when he's swinging haymakers in Bali, but he's they kept him contained really well. And I gave him a little bit of stick as well when he dropped that ball from the kick restart. I gave him a little bit of a rub up as he was walking up the sideline.
Yeah, I don't think you were the only one to do that. I believe his coach did the same. but
the guy, the walkie-talkie.
Guy that played for us, he's having his best season by far, is Cody Nikorima.
Mate, he's like a fine wine, mate. He's just getting better with age. He's still sharp. His footy IQ is massive. And mate, he sometimes puts that entire Dolphins team on his back and carries them to the victories, mate. So yeah, no, he's definitely a dangerous little fella.
Yeah, well, how do you see this game going?
I see it close, but I see a South win. I just think that now that we've got our pretty much what's available best team on the field, we'll be too strong for the Dolphins, I think.
Well, can we see another record broken by Alex Johnston? He's currently equal for most hat tricks throughout his career on 16 with Ken Irvine and Frank Burge. But can we see him get another hat trick this week and move even closer to that all-time record?
Why not, mate? Why not? When you've got Trell and the Wiz out there floating around on that left-hand side, mate, anything's possible. So he could have another 3 tries to his name quite easily.
He probably should have had 5 last week. I thought when Nelson dropped the ball, you were talking about Nelson dropped the ball, and we had an attacking set there, and Jack Whiten went short, whereas Latrell was out the back, and AJ, like, Farlonga already came in again, and AJ was going to go over untouched, so he could have had 5.
100% he could have, mate, easily. And you know what, for me, mate, that's the frustrating things, because like you've got to play eyes up football. And look, I'm not going to go into this isn't about Jack Whiten, but yeah, I just think, I don't know, mate. He's a great bloke, great fella, but I don't think he's given us value for money since he joined the club. But that's my opinion. I'm sure many people will disagree with me, but this is about Alex Johnston, and I think, mate, why not? Is it Bostock's wing that Johnson would have been?
No, I believe it's what's his name, bloody.
Oh, the goal kicker.
Yes, Zarko.
Okay, all right, mate.
Yeah,
that'll be a very, very good battle out there between AJ and Asako, and that'll be worth the price of admission alone, really.
Yeah, well, we're going to go through to our new weekly segment of Cody's weekly stats. Anyway, here's Cody.
Hello, my name is Cody, and welcome back to Cody Weekly Stats. This week we will be playing the Dolphins, kicking off on Saturday, 7:50 p.m. kickoff at Suncorp Stadium. We have played the Dolphins 3 times in total. We've won 2 out of 3, including our previous encounter against them back in round 1 this year, where we won 16 points to 14. We have played 33 games up at Suncorp Stadium. We have won 15, lost 18. Not a bad record. We've also lost our last 3 games at Suncorp Stadium, which is not the best. Alex Johnston getting that score record not long ago. AJ has scored 10 tries in his last 5 games, and he has also scored 183 tries in 173 games on the wing in the wing position. And Keon has averaged over 200 meters since he moved the prop over the last couple of weeks. And that's going to wrap it up there. And go to Rabbitohs.
Thank you, Cody. Another that was probably a bit of a tough one because there's not much to talk about with the Dolphins. We've only played them 3 times, as he mentioned, but it's interesting next week because we do play Manly at Brookvale, so he'll have a lot more next week. But he's doing the best he can with limited resources.
Well done, Codes. Good lad.
Yeah. We've still got a few injuries. We've got Cam Murray, and the talk now is that Cam Murray's going to be definitely back this year. Heard a few interviews, one with Blake Solly on the ABC. He was talking about it. I forget who else spoke about it, but he's doing everything he can to be back. He's started doing light running now in that machine where they take the weight off him. So
Yeah.
he's well ahead of where he should be, and it's testament to the professionalism of Cam Murray.
Yeah, mate, the skip is the skip. He's meticulous in his preparation, and will not leave any stone unturned, even when fit. Game day rituals, the way he prepares for games, what he eats before games, his intensity at training in the lead up to games, everything is spot on from Cam, and that's why he's our leader, mate. And you know what, if he gets back, fantastic, great, awesome, because I think his presence out on the field would give the boys just a massive boost heading into hopefully what can be a finals campaign for us.
Yeah, there was talk that if we weren't going to make the finals, that someone mentioned that, well, would he play? And Cam Murray said he doesn't care whether we're dead last or first or whatever. He'll be back. He just wants to play for this side and give it his all, and help the team lift because that's just his attitude all along. But another injury we mentioned before about Brandon Smith. He was talking on the Bide podcast with James Graham that he has his segment, and he's looking at a return to round 19 to New South Wales Cup the week that we have the bye. So that'll be really good because I'll give him that run first in New South Wales Cup, and the week after round 20 against Penrith, he'll look to make his first grade debut for us. For the club debut for us, sorry.
Yeah, mate, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how the big cheese goes. I'll tell you what, he'll have some cobwebs to blow out in that New South Wales Cup game. But that's a great place to do it. And from all reports, mate, I haven't been down to training for a little while, but from all reports, he's training really strong. The knee's holding up really good, and excited to see what he can bring to this side.
Being the bye weekend, I haven't seen where we're playing that week, but it's a game that I might just head down and have a look. I think a few other South fans will be certainly going down to that because there'll be added interest in that game with Cheese playing. For
sure, mate, there definitely will be, and let us know if you find out where it's at, and I'll see if I can get there.
Definitely, for sure. We've got this game. It's up at Suncorp. Originally, it was meant to be our home game, but we've seen with the cyclone in round 1 when the last minute changed down to Parramatta. But it is up at Suncorp, and it was great of the club to do that at such short notice because they certainly did lose a lot of money for that game. That was one less game for Acor this year because of it, but they did make it happen and allowed us to play that round 1 game. But Suncorp, just a great stadium to watch rugby league from, isn't it?
Oh yeah, mate, it's a wonderful football ground, and yeah, I've had the pleasure of being up there a few times and enjoyed every single time. I mean, I think I've only seen Souths win up there only once when I've travelled, but yeah, it's a spectacular ground to watch rugby league from, mate. And it doesn't matter where you are in that stadium, you feel like you can, you're almost running alongside the players. So yeah, it's a really well designed stadium.
Yeah, well, we usually, we got the Queensland fans up there, the South Sydney Queensland fans up there, and they certainly get behind the boys. We'll be in Bay 317. I'm not sure if there's any tickets available for that bay, but have a look at 318 if you want to be part of where we are, and that's the best place to be part of it. But they do a tremendous job up there getting behind the boys.
Yeah, big shout out to the Queensland Bunnies. Do a wonderful job, wonderful supporter base, mate, who doesn't love Queenslanders, mate? Except at State of Origin time, of course. But they're very laid back people, mate. They remind me of myself. I don't know, that might be a little bit of a lie, but they're wonderful, wonderful people. And you know what, mate, we've enjoyed every single time that we've been up there together, and we've been up there together a couple of times. Running amok.
Yeah. Well, just last Wednesday, we were enemies with them, and now we're going to be allies together. They're supporting the same team. So rugby league's a funny game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. It certainly is, mate. I remember one year. I can't remember what year. It might have been 2013 or something, and I can't remember the name of the pub, but it was
Transcontinental. No, the one. Tin Billies?
No, mate, I don't know. Long story short, I was blind. It was myself and it was Charlie.
Tin Billies. That's where you were at. That's the name of the pub.
It was the Tim Billies.
Yes.
And we were all in there, and we were having a good time, and everyone was, and then all of a sudden, mate, it was like that. Me and little Reggie Rabbit have looked at each other, and Charlie's gone, "What time is it?" And I said, "Oh, Charlie, it's 3 a.m. And then he goes, "Where the is everybody?" I think everyone's gone, mate. It's just me and you. He goes, "Well, I love you, Marky, but I've got to go to bed." So yeah, him and I were just, mate, we were just sinking them, mate. It was honestly one of the best nights that I've had, mate, to just sit there and have a good drink with Rabbitoh royalty, mate. I'm Reggie.
Yeah,
Rabbit.
he gets around. He does love a drink, Charlie, but lovely bloke, awesome guy, and everywhere he goes, everyone just loves Charlie.
Yeah.
He knows every time he's out, no matter where he is, he's got like about 100 people that come up to him, and that knows him, and he just knows everybody, doesn't he?
He does, mate. Yeah, he does. And I always make it a point, mate, in the after game functions, if I'm there, I always make it a point to buy him a little midi and take it over to him so he can enjoy that as well. It's like my little tradition for him, you know.
Poor guy, those kind of things is what gets him in trouble, I think. But but shout out to you, Charlie.
I'll never stop getting him in trouble, mate.
He'll never stop accepting those drinks either.
That's
so
right, exactly.
It's amazing. What is he, 81 years old now, and still doing what he does? Like, it's just amazing effort. But usually at this time we talk about our memorable games, but there's only 3 games to talk about with Dolphins. But so I'm going to try something a little bit different. What's some of your most memorable games at Suncorp?
Oh, for me, mate, yes, it was when Holmes, the Court, and Crow just took over, and I think it was when Sutton, I think he dislocated his shoulder when he was scoring. When he was
2007.
Yep.
Yes.
So that was pretty memorable. One, because I was actually there with my dad, the legend, and 2 was I remember bumping into Holmes, the Court, and that on the flight home. So that was pretty good, and having a chat with Peter about the direction of the club and stuff. But mate, for me, the Greg English try,
Anzac Day 2014. Were you at that game?
No, Loz was, but I had to work.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, she was. I know she wasn't. That was a year after round 1 that she was there at the game with me. That was her first time in the Burrow that time. But yeah, that was what was amazing about that, and you can watch it back now and just listen to how the crowd erupted, and it just shows how many South fans were there. This is a Broncos home game. There was it was full, like it was almost a capacity at Suncorp because it was Anzac Day, and you just have to listen to the crowd. But that game ended up being very close at the end, and we just got
Yes.
home. I believe it
Yep.
was because Sam Burgess charged the ball down right at the end because I went for a field goal, did they, or something like that?
Like
Sam
that,
Burgess charged the ball down, regathered it, made a half break, then got the penalty, so we're going to kick downfield. But then for some reason, Bryson Goodwin took the ball, took the quick tap, and they tackled him, and everyone's going, what are you doing? But anyway, he got the penalty, and then all of a sudden it was 10 metres closer to get the kick for Adam Reynolds to get the kick, but we still had to defend because they got the ball off the short kickoff, and we just had to defend that set to win the game. But
yeah, there wasn't too
one
many fingernails left by the end of that one, mate. That's for damn sure. Because that was one where either team could have put the other team away quite easily, mate. But we were just arm wrestling for the entire 80 minutes. It was a great game of football.
There was another one. I don't know if it was 2018 or 2019. Another one that was a very close game, and there was a tackle by Damien Cook on Corey Oates, and Corey Oates always scored against us. And
yes, he did.
It was a beautiful pass, and it looked like Corey Oates was going to score for all money. And this legs tackle by Damien Cook just brought him down and short of the line. And even after that, there was another tackle. I think it was by Bailey Sirinen. So it may have been another year, may have been 2019, I think. And I'm sure it was Bailey Sirinen that made the tackle and stopped him again. And then after that, it was 2019 because John Sutton was still playing. And I remember there was a scuffle. Every tackle after that, we had about 2 or 3 tackles where every tackle there was a scuffle and there was almost a punch. And we're like, don't give away a penalty. So that was a memorable one.
Was that the game where Wayne did his little...
Yes, I believe so. Got one over Seabold.
Yeah, that's right.
But another one was a Magic Round game against the Melbourne Storm in 2023. And Melbourne Storm never lost they hadn't lost at Suncorp for quite a while. And I think the only game they lost was against Penrith in the prelim final. But outside of that, they didn't lose there. And they're always strong there. They had a great record against Brisbane up there. And here we are thinking, okay, this is going to be a tough one. And we just come out and demolish them. And it was amazing because that time of the year, we went, we played, who was it? It was Penrith, Brisbane and Melbourne back to back 3 weeks in a row. And we were looking great. It's like top of the ladder and things were going great. And then we fell off a cliff and missed out the finals that year and haven't been the same. But that was a memorable game for me. Just things like Latrell Mitchell, kicking the ball through for Cody, where Cody's pointing where to kick, and just the understanding those two had us. It was when things were going great for us. There's some memorable games, certainly at Suncorp, and hopefully this Saturday is one of the, we can add to that list.
Ears open, mate.
Well, our Pathways had two very good wins on the weekend. We seen Jersey Flegg. They got up 24-4. One of the stars for that game was Taj Alvarez, and you were there at the post-match in the members bar where they interviewed Brent Hill, and it was mentioned that he's re-signed for 4 years, and that's certainly a great re-signing for us. A young kid that I believe will be the one taking over from Cody Walker in a few years' time.
Yeah, mate, really good signing, mate. He's a classy little fella. I mean, when I say little, he's not real little. Looking at him, he had some size about him. When you associate sixers, you don't associate him with big bodies. But he's got first grader build written all over him, mate, and he's got the ability to match. So yeah, he's going to be very dangerous. That's for sure.
Well, the New South Wales Cup, they've won their 3rd game in a row. They were on the bottom of the ladder a couple of weeks ago, but they're bringing themselves off from that, and they had a 24-22 win. And ironically, it was a 5 tries to 4 game, just like in first grade, just like State of Origin, and the teams that scored the 5 tries all lost. So Manly couldn't kick a goal to save, and they end up kicking 1 from 5, and that was a difference in the game. And we had Lewis Dodd got dropped back down. He played, but I thought that Ashton Ward was a standout between the two halves. Ashton Ward's been dropped back to Jersey Flag this week because Bud Sullivan's back in. He's been named in New South Wales Cup, but what happens game day, who knows? But it's Manly had quite a few first graders dropped for that game. Jason Saar played, Tom Sipley and Croker all played in that game. So they certainly had some first grade experience for us. And it was great to see a lot of those guys stand up. The guy that I've been very impressed with is Tim Johansson. He plays either prop or lock there, and we got him this year from the Tigers, and he's been impressing in the games that he's played.
Yeah, mate, and just keep playing good football. Like you never know when you're going to get that that tap on the shoulder to get a call up, and I think it's an important message for all those lads in New South Wales Cup and especially the younger lads as well. Like if you're good enough, you're old enough, and just keep doing what you're doing, keep playing good football, keep working hard, and you just never know what could happen.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that because we've seen that this year with Ryan Gray, who played the last 2 games. Bailey Bentley Harper, he's had about 5 games this year. Last year we've seen Matt French get the call up to play first grade against the Dragons last year. So certainly you keep pushing yourself, you keep putting yourself in the picture. You never know what happens because injuries are certainly a huge part of the game.
Yeah, 100%, mate. You know, you put yourself in the shop window and you get an opportunity and you do well. It could be, a Tallis Duncan sort of deal where it's almost you can't drop him because you just know that he turns up for you. He's going to give 100%, and you find yourself playing regular first grade.
Oh, well, you're seeing it with guys like, I remember when Junior Totola came to the club, he was on a train and trial deal early on and ended up getting the first grade contract and hasn't looked back since. And, that was 8 years ago, something like that. And so anything can happen. But I just want to get a prediction from you before we go. AJ, with this record, what round? Where does he get it at?
Oh, how many rounds we got this year? 26?
27 rounds. We've still got 2 more buys. So I believe we got in the run home, we got Dolphins this week. We got Manly. Then we got the bye. Then we got the Panthers. Then we got the Sharks at Gosford. Broncos, Titans, Dragons, bye. Then the Roosters.
Where's the Dragons game?
Dragons game's at Acor.
I'm going to say Dragons.
Round 25. I'm actually hoping for the Eels game, Indigenous round. That'll be so fitting. Like that'd be perfect scenario for him. And for that to happen, that's 7 games away. So I try again, but I'd probably see him getting a couple of doubles, maybe a hat trick in that run where we play the Titans. The Sharks, he doesn't have a good record against tries. He's only scored 4 tries against the Sharks. That's probably his worst record. He scored three in 2 games against the Dolphins. So
but if he gets 3 against the Dolphins on Saturday night, that throws everything. So all of a sudden
we're trying to get a banner done for this, and all of a sudden the guy that's doing it has turned around and said, "I've got to pull my finger out now." Like I thought I had a bit of time, and then he goes and scores 4 tries, and it's going to be interesting because I wonder what happens now that with those games where if he does score a hat trick this week and maybe gets 1 or 2 against the Manly, that all of a sudden how many South fans are going, "No, well I'm going out to the Penrith game all of a sudden."
Yeah, that's right, mate. Exactly. I think regardless of where he breaks the record, I think we'll end up 100% doing something pretty good for him when we go back to a core anyway, if he does in fact break it before we get back to a core. And I know you guys will do a wonderful job with the banner and all that sort of stuff as well. So it'll be a wonderful occasion, mate.
Yeah, well, that's about wraps it up today. A few announcements. We spoke about the Penrith games. So first of all, the Manly game, the buses, we've had to cancel that. We just didn't have enough interest. We have put it out there, and since I've cancelled, I've had a few people turn around, "I would have gone," but still didn't have enough numbers there to get it to happen.
Pull your finger out of your
unfortunately.
butt, people.
But we would have loved to have it, and we're certainly going to be trying again next year, and hopefully more people get on board in that. But if you do want to go to the Manly game, there's still tickets available. The Southern Concourse is probably the best place to get close to where we are. Penrith, when we play the Penrith after the bye in round 20, get tickets for the GAS South section. We'll be next to the away supporters bay. That's a Friday night game. Titans, we're also in the away GA section. That's a big game. If you're in Sydney and want an away game to go to, that's probably the most affordable one. It's certainly a great time up there, and it is another South home game. Titans
What
fans
day?
certainly hate
Mate,
us.
sorry to interrupt you there, buddy. What day is that? Is that Titans game?
It's a Sunday. It's a Sunday 2:00 game. I believe it's 2:00 game. So if people wanted to get up there and maybe stay the night before and possibly get a flight home that night. We've done it before, and it's not out of the realms of possibilities because the game finishes by 4:00. Get to the airport by 6. You can get a 7:00 flight, 7:30 flight home.
Yeah,
it's certainly one that I recommend people get to because that could be the one that AJ breaks the record for. You never know. But the week after we play the Broncos, and that's back-to-back games there up in Queensland. We're in Bay 317 again. I do know that South do block that section off for the members up there because there's a lot of people up there that have memberships that allow them a ticket to that game. So that's why. But if you do want to get tickets, get in early, get 318. You'll be right next to us and make the noise. And the final round against the Roosters, we haven't got a bay confirmed yet. Once I do get that, we'll put that up. But we're not going to be in the away supporters bay. Unfortunately, they've outpriced us again. $90 a ticket for the away bay. It's just ridiculous.
Absolute wanker of a club, mate. Absolute wanker of a club. That's my 2 cents worth.
Well, you guys may have seen at home, I got the fan reactions back up. Was going to do one down in Canberra, but by the time the game finished, I was frozen. I couldn't even get my hands out of my pockets. The camera would have been shaking if I had been, or whoever had been holding the camera there. But I did do one for the Bulldogs game. Unfortunately, the mics didn't work. That's a real shame. But even with the Roy Asatasi one, the mics weren't working for that, but I was actually able to salvage that. But with the other one, the speakers were just too loud. So apologies for those that did get interviewed, and we were looking forward to seeing that. I did try my best to get that up, but and I also did an interview with a lot of Ryan Gray's friends and his former coach in that, which is a shame because that would have been really good for people to see. And they were quite animated, but the one last week was really good. Had an American girl there that I interviewed. She was from Florida. I think Sarasota, she said, or something like that. And that was her first ever rugby league game. And yeah, she absolutely loved it. And she's now rusted on Rabbitoh and will be back in the Burrow again. So
outstanding.
That's what it's about, those sort of interviews that I'm doing with people, getting different people that aren't usually up there in the core area of the Burrow and get their reactions. And I've had a lot of feedback from that telling me how people love that sort of reactions of seeing the fans. And if you're out there and you're feeling pissed off, vent. You can swear whatever. It's about the reactions, and we're not going to make you hold back, and there'll be no beeping out either.
Yes, love that.
But I will be getting the Getting to Know Our Members podcast back up. I've already had 3 come out with Cody. I had Mick Tasker and also Darren Finlay. I'm going to start getting a few more up now. We certainly love hearing the stories of you members out there, and I'll definitely get Mark to tell his story and interview Mark, and he's certainly got a lot of great stories to tell involving us too as well.
Trips
to Cairns.
You might have to put the R-rated symbol on when you do my interview.
Yeah, well, I put the not for children part when I upload it to YouTube, but we certainly love the feedback from you guys, and make sure you do leave a comment in here, like, subscribe. We're slowly building up, but it's great having you guys watching it. We love doing this for you guys, and I know ever since I got Mark on board, he loves doing this.
It's right up my alley, mate. Love it. And you do a great job.
Anything else before we go? Appreciate it. But anything else before we go?
Mate, look, everybody, just for the Queensland bunnies up there on Saturday night, and for everybody that's travelling up there, have a safe trip and get behind the boys. I think it's going to be a good result for us, and go the Rabbitohs. Yeah,
well, don't forget there is a game up there beforehand at 3:00. They've got the Broncos Warriors. They'll be closing the gates once that game's finished and they get everyone out. And reopening it for our game, but up there along Caxton and everything, it's going to be jam-packed there with the Broncos fans leaving and all of us coming to the game. But a few of us will be there. A few of us will be there at the Caxton, so if you want to come and join us, come up, say hello. Certainly love to see you guys. But for now, I'm your host, Josh, and I'm joined by Mark. Go the Rabbitohs.
The Rabbitohs.